Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Mark Anderson joined Golden Bachelorette for selfish reasons. Bachelor Nation fans expected Mark Anderson to swoop in and steal Joan Vasso's heart from night one of the Golden Bachelorette. That hasn't happened. Is Kelsey's dad there for selfish reasons and not for Joan? Keep reading for more on this speculation. The Golden Bachelorette season just started, but a few fans already think they know how it ends. And it's another not-so-happy ending like Theresa Nist and Jerry Turner from The Golden Bachelor. One viewer took to Reddit to share their thoughts that none of the 24 suitors are the right fit for Joan Vassos. They explained, "Usually, I have at least 2 to 3 frontrunners from day one. The only one seemed to be cute is Mark. Not only he is very attractive, he is super charming. But I don't get the serious vibe from him. It seems like he's well aware of his looks and charm, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I'm not sure he's serious." Other fans chimed in with agreement, especially about Kelsey's dad. "Agree with you, I don't think she will pick any of them. I think she is so boring. She's just pretty, but I feel like she has minimal depth to her other than experiencing the tragic loss of her husband. Maybe they're giving her a bad edit, though. I could see them focusing only on her appearance and not feeling it necessary to showcase her personality. Outside of them fixing it to have Kelsey's dad win, I don't see it either. I think Mark is very handsome and loves being in the mansion, but maybe not looking for a wife right now. I can't imagine she picks anyone either. She loves her family, and so do all the men, so no one is moving. I think she's going to back out on all of them. She's not ready to commit to another man nor move away from her family. If Mark Anderson isn't on the Golden Bachelorette for love, why is he there? In a preview clip for this week's episode, he admits to starting to fall for Joan, but is he telling the truth? Screen Rant speculated that Mark Anderson is a producer plant. His motive? The outlet suggests he's only on the show to get the lead role of the Season 2 Golden Bachelor. ABC has yet to confirm a second season of the spinoff, but fans have been calling for Mark Anderson to get the job since his first appearance on Season 28 of The Bachelor. When Mark Anderson received the call that he'd been cast on the Golden Bachelorette, he couldn't suppress a self-satisfied grin. At 57, he had been navigating the treacherous waters of dating for far too long, and the prospect of being on a show dedicated to older singles filled him with a rush of excitement and anticipation. Yet deep down, Mark knew his motives were less than noble. This was not just about love. It was about the allure of fame, the thrill of television, and perhaps, if he played his cards right, the chance to reignite a spark that had long been extinguished in his own life. Mark's journey had been marked by disappointments and heartaches. After a bitter divorce 5 years ago, he had struggled to redefine his identity. His teenage children were off living their own lives, and he found himself alone in a big house filled with memories. Swiping through dating apps felt superficial, and traditional meetups often ended in awkward silences. When the casting team approached him, suggesting that he might be the perfect fit for the show, it felt like a golden opportunity, a chance to jump into the spotlight and perhaps attract a woman who could reignite the passion he thought he'd lost forever. As the premiere date approached, Mark meticulously prepared himself. He studied previous seasons, noting the quirks and charms of contestants who had won over the Bachelorette's heart. He practiced his smiles in the mirror, convinced that the world of reality television was about performance as much as genuine connection. He wasn't naive. He understood the producer's intentions. Drama was the name of the game, and Mark intended to be a player. Stepping into the mansion on the first night felt surreal. It was a whirlwind of laughter, introductions, and an array of women, all vying for attention from the show's glamorous lead. Mark was instantly struck by how many of them shared his longing for companionship. They all seemed sincere, filled with hopes and dreams of finding love later in life. But as the night progressed, he couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority creeping in. Here he was, a handsome man in his prime, ready to charm his way through the competition. The idea of playing the field, of being pursued and admired, was intoxicating. His confidence surged as he approached the Bachelorette, a vivacious woman named Diane with an infectious laugh and a heartwarming story. Their first conversation sparked a connection, and Mark could feel the magnetic pull between them. Yet as he shared stories and listened to Diane, he felt a twinge of guilt wash over him. Did he really care about her, or was he merely enchanted by the attention and the stage on which they were performing? As the weeks progressed, Mark began to notice the dynamics within the group of contestants. The older women, each with their own tales of heartbreak and resilience, were navigating the competition with a blend of grace and desperation. Mark found himself drawn to several of them, not for their stories, but for how they reflected pieces of his own journey. Yet he was more focused on keeping himself in the spotlight than forming meaningful connections. He would say the right things to the cameras, expertly weaving in lines designed to garner sympathy and intrigue. The allure of Golden Bachelorette lay in its rawness, the vulnerability of the contestants and their genuine search for love. Mark knew that the audience loved a good story, and he was more than willing to provide one. He began to craft his narrative, playing the role of the dashing knight with a touch of emotional depth. It was a performance, one he executed flawlessly, but it left him feeling empty. With every rose ceremony, he felt the weight of his selfishness settle like a heavy cloak around his shoulders. While he charmed the Bachelorette with carefully curated anecdotes of his life, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was undermining the very purpose of the show. He was captivated by the idea of being adored, of basking in the limelight, rather than genuinely seeking a partner to share life with. As he witnessed the other contestants pouring their hearts out, he began to feel like a fraud, a wolf in sheep's clothing, hidden behind a facade of charm and wit. Then came the fateful group date, where the producers had set up an emotional challenge, requiring the contestants to share their most vulnerable moments. Mark watched as the women opened up, revealing their fears and regrets. One contestant, Sheila, a retired schoolteacher with sparkling eyes, spoke about her late husband and the loneliness that had followed his passing. Her honesty struck a chord deep within Mark, stirring feelings he had long buried. But instead of reflecting on his own truths, he strategized on how to turn her emotional moment to his advantage. He wanted to be the supportive listener, the shoulder to cry on, but in his mind, it was all part of the game. In that moment, he felt torn between his selfish desire for fame and the human connection that was so clearly present. As the weeks rolled on, Mark's internal conflict began to manifest in his interactions. He found himself sharing more of his authentic self, opening up about his own losses and fears. He wasn't entirely sure if he was doing it for the cameras or for the genuine connections forming with the women. Each rose ceremony felt increasingly heavy. The pressure to perform weighed down on him, yet he was also captivated by the sincerity he was witnessing in the other contestants. Mark's self-centered motives began to crumble when he saw how the other contestants rallied around each other, forming genuine bonds that transcended the competition. Their laughter, support, and shared experiences made him question what he was truly looking for. It wasn't just about winning the game. It was about finding someone to share his life with, someone to love and be loved by in return. Yet the longer he remained on the show, the more he felt he had strayed from that original goal. By the time the finale approached, Mark found himself grappling with the very essence of why he had joined the show in the first place. What had started as a quest for fame and validation had transformed into a deep yearning for genuine connection. He could no longer deny the truth. He had not only manipulated the circumstances for his gain, but also risked breaking the hearts of the women who had opened up to him. The moment of truth arrived at the final rose ceremony, where he stood before Diane, faced with a choice. He could continue the charade or admit that his initial intentions had been tainted by selfishness. As he gazed into her eyes, filled with hope and vulnerability, he realized that his journey on the Golden Bachelorette had become more than a simple quest for love. It had become a reflection of his own humanity, flaws and all. In that moment of clarity, Mark decided to be honest. He confessed his initial motives, sharing how he had entered the show with a thirst for validation, yet had ultimately discovered something far more profound. It was about connection, about vulnerability, and about the courage to be genuine in a world that often rewarded the opposite. As the season wrapped, Mark left the mansion not with a rose, but with a renewed sense of purpose. He might not have found love on Golden Bachelorette, but he found something equally significant. The realization that true connection begins with authenticity, even if it starts from a place of selfishness. It was a lesson he would carry with him long after the cameras stopped rolling, and perhaps, just perhaps, it would lead him to the love he had always sought.